I'm back. YouTube messed up my stream. I don't know what happened. My internet's fine. YouTube went stupid. All right. I still don't know what happened. My internet connection is perfect. It wasn't my internet connection. But I was demonetized. I guess you can't say Quarantine in my title. Yes. It was demonetized. I can see it already. All right. I'll give everybody a minute to get back in. And I'll probably leave after I finish this box because I'm actually pretty tired. All right. While I'm waiting for everybody to get in, I'll do a dunk for you, Linda. All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the stream. I have no idea. YouTube stuff. Nothing wrong with my internet connection at all. Let's keep going. Actually, I'll go through this real quick, and I should probably wait a couple minutes for everybody else to get back in. Well, that wasn't fun. Normally when a stream dies like that, you lose a lot of the viewers. They don't try to come back. I hope everyone comes back. What was there, like 150 people in here? We're back up to 50 now. About 50. Yeah, we'll see if everybody can find me. There's a really nice 1971D. Check out the luster on that. That's really nice. It's got a little hairline scratch in a couple spots. I've got a lot of them, so I'll throw that back. Ted said, yep, they shut you down. I don't know what happened. My stream literally just disappeared. Like, it literally just went poofy. I've never had that happen before. I've had them, like, buffer, but it always comes back on. And I checked. It had nothing to do with my internet connection. I don't know what happened. But they did flag the live stream as not suitable for all advertisers or most advertisers. No idea. We'll check out the coloration of that one on the end. Almost lost them. So that dark one's a 1981D. Come on, let's get it. Oh, I was going to say let's get us something good, and then I found something. Just another 2007 NIFC. 2007D. We already found one of those tonight. Richard said I'm not allowed to, I can't talk about capitalism. I don't know. I really don't know what happened. They didn't pull it because they would have deleted the video. There's nothing I said that I'm not allowed to say. I mean, they can demonetize me for talking about topics that are not taboo, but there's no reason the video it's not deleted. Man, there's another one of them 71Ds. Wow. That is really nice. It's got a ding in it, though, so I'm going to toss it, unfortunately. Hey, Gail, how's it going? Hey, Dylan. Good to see some people coming in. Doesn't look like we're going to get everyone back. Oh, it looks like over half the people couldn't refind the stream. Oh, well. What years do I look for? Well, I look for anything that's pre-1971, but I also look for anything with an S mint mark and all sorts of other errors and different things. So, but if you're just looking for silver, I mean, primarily you're going to be looking for anything that is pre-1971. That's a good place to start for what to look for. Hey, Wheat Penny Hunter, what's going on? So I don't know about anyone else, but I'm actually, now I understand this is difficult if it's, really complicating your job, but I'm kind of personally enjoying the slower pace that's kind of happening in the world right now. It's like I drive places and it's just so much more relaxed. It's why I like driving around on Sundays when a lot more businesses are closed. There's just such an awesome feel to it. I actually like on holidays like Christmas when everything's closed. I like to drive around in the what are usually dense urban areas and just like enjoy the weird sensation of having all of these buildings and all the parking lots and everything, and they're like ghost towns. It's really cool. Carter with a 99-cent super chat. I appreciate it. There is no super chat that is too low for a dunk, so I'll give you one here in a moment. Wanda said, thanks. I don't collect. I stumbled on your channel one night when your mom was helping you. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, okay. I think you probably found me through that that really long video I put up where my mom was hunting with me. So that's pretty cool. Well, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy. Got a 1982 with some weird greenish tone, greenish gold. It's kind of very odd. But in that roll, I did get a nasty 2005 NIFC. So for anyone just coming in, I'm going to show it before we end the stream, but I found some like really awesome coins tonight. Some really cool stuff. Oh yeah, I got to do the dunk. And Carter sent another $1.99 super chat. So you get 2 dunks. I got an idea. Since he sent two super chats, watch this. Let's see. Let's move this out of the way. Put this up here. There we go. You got 3 dunks. All right, next roll. Hey, what's going on, Anthony? I hope you're doing well. Well, I got a 1995 with a little bit of rainbow toning going on, though, but it's pretty faint, so we'll toss that one. Oh, yeah, I got to put this back down. So everybody can see. I got to put it down even further. There we go. Too low. That's about right. All for one said, I'm getting tired of the whole government even existing. Yeah, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing once it becomes bloated. If it was absolved too quickly, there would just be mass chaos and civil unrest that would be unprecedented. But when it continues to exist and to grow, then you run into a whole nother issue of building tyranny. You got sunburn? I was just talking about it today. I was out working at the project house, and I got my first sunburn today. It was really sunny out, and I got it on my neck a little bit. But, yeah, I got a little bit burnt, too. You got a thick one here. I think it's just a nice uncirculated one. I don't think it's a proof. But for anybody just coming in, I found my rarest coin ever in a $50 box tonight. I'll show it here again soon. What was on my neck? Was there just something on my neck? Somebody tell me. I felt something crawling on my neck. Rob said a skeeter. No, there's no mosquitoes out yet. There could have been a fly. Huh. Dave, don't play with me. Just got a 2005. You've all seen the NIFCs, so I got a lot of 2005s. Look behind me. I'm not falling for that one. So what we were talking about. Yes, government, of course, everyone's favorite topic. But I was thinking it's about something, really, if you think about it, what is, okay, I'll ask okay, it's kind of a trick question, but kind of not. Okay, it is kind of a trick question. What is the purpose primarily of government? TJ said, hey, JD, hey, JD, can't even say my own name. I started watching your videos after I picked up metal detecting last Christmas. Your channel is bad, a blank blank. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Big Mill Hunt Silver with the 777 super chat. One of my favorite numbers. JD, I'm one away from 131300 on my fantastically mediocre station, and can I get an off the backboard dunk? You can, Big Mill, and everybody else who made it to the stream right now, please check out Big Mill's channel and get him to 1300. What are you saying? You're only one away? Check him out for some coin roll hunting. And yes, I can give you a dunk off the backboard. Let's get through this roll and get to dunking. So anyway, before I forget, government's primary goal, once it morphs from being for the people, its primary role is to exist, which is a conflict of interest for what its intended purpose should be. We're going to put some gusto on this one. Rage! Oh, wait. Got to put this up here. We're going to get some hang time. Ah! I got to do it again. Dude, that hit off the rim and got me right in the head. I'm going to get a long distance. Here we go. Ah! Ah! Woo! All right. I found a stack of half dollars on the side of my desk. I don't know if we ever looked at them or not. All right. Back down we go. Yeah, and it's off the forehead. Maybe I'll have to do that intentionally next time. I can't throw it off my head. I could try to do it off my head, off the wall, and into the basket, but it'd take a lot of tries. So back to government. Ooh, that's a really nice 74, but it's not a DDO. I actually realized I did a lot of testing with my scope in the naked eye. I have really, really, really good close-up vision and horrible long-distance vision. I can actually see the DDO variety with the naked eye. So I can't actually, but everyone I've checked that I've looked at with the naked eye, I haven't missed any. So I don't know. I might not use my scope anymore and just wing it. I don't know. I've always had good close-up vision. I just always have. I used to have an incredibly good long-distance vision, but when I had some health problems back in my early to mid-20s, my vision got really bad within the span of like 6 months. I got as blind as a bat for like the long-distance vision. I don't know if it's specifically correlated, but because it was inner ear and all kinds of stuff, I think it was correlated. But back to government, a lot of people say, well, you have to have, all sorts of, programs to make sure people don't go below water. But prior to governments and things like that, that's what charities were meant to do, to help people that were down and out and, who hit hard patches in life. So, but you got to figure, like when people want to donate to like a charity, right? Well, what are one of the things that you should do? Well, you want to make sure you're donating to a charity that isn't skimming a lot of money, right? You want to send, your money to, like a charity that's going to get the most amount of money possible into the hands of the people hurting. Like when you have, when you donate to foreign charities, you want to make sure that as little of that as possible goes toward logistics. So for people who say, well, we have to have government welfare and all these programs, I agree that the people need help, a lot of them, but of course, when you get a handout system, you do get a lot of people that abuse it. I worked retail for years. I got to see tons of people come in with their EBT cards and get huge bags of Doritos and Mountain Dew, and that's what they bought. With what's supposed to be sustaining their life, they just bought snacks. I had one person that spent like $50 on a Super Bowl party supplies, put it on the EBT. So there's obviously abuse, but then you have to pay all the middlemen. Nobody else gets a penny until everyone at the IRS and every government entity gets paid. So government as a form of charity has a lot of people with sticky fingers, and also because nobody really has skin in the game, and it's really hard to get fired from a government position. There's a lot of abuse as well for various reasons. So yeah. I'll stop there. All right, JW, thanks for stopping by. Anyone who is here in the stream right now, check JW's channel out before he leaves and give him a hey. Tell him JD sent you. But all right, yeah, I'll check. Thank you for the shout earlier. Deathnet Challenge Tuesday live stream. All right, I will try to be there for that. I will try to make it a point to be there Tuesday. To see the Death Nut Challenge. I got to see that one. All right, later. Looked at the end of one of these rolls here. We got one of the weak strike ones in the middle where there's almost no detail on the eagle. I'm going to check that one out. Smith Silver, good night. Thanks for stopping by. I think we're a little bit out of focus again. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is a shiny one on the edge. Is that a good one? Nope, just a nice 1991. Well, this box got a little bit cold in the second half. Palmetto Prepared said, I pulled my first Colonial Copper, JD. You still look at your Adventures Extraordinaire page. That is awesome. I'll have to check it out. No, actually, I haven't been able to upkeep the or check the Facebook page and actually quite a bit, but I need to do that here soon. But yeah, I'll check it out. That is awesome. Congratulations. Dave, you are absolutely correct. There are a lot of charities out there that are absolute garbage, that a lot of it goes towards administration fees. Steven said, why did the skeleton cross the road? I'd say because he was already dead. Just got a nice NIFC. Maybe because I know. Okay, so nobody gets offended. Sometimes my sense of humor is pretty morbid, but it's all in good fun. I would say because it's cheaper to be cremated than purchasing a casket. I think that's why he crossed the road. So he could fit in a smaller box. Hopefully I don't lose any subscribers over that one. I'll tell you what, there's rules and regulations for everything these days. You can't even die for free. It's expensive to die. Oh my goodness. What is going on, Muhammad? The real answer, Steven said, because he didn't have the guts to. That is pretty funny. And what's really funny is now that I have this box here, I'm deliberately still missing. You should see the pile of wrappers around this box. I can't get into the habit of throwing them in the box because I'm so used to throwing them on the floor. Greg, I'm looking up at your comment now. Instead of not cashing you check, do the Christian thing and donate it to someone in need. Are you talking about the stimulus thing? I actually addressed that earlier in the stream, and that I would never take more out of the system that I put in because I would never want to be a net taker and a thief from hardworking individuals. How dare you? Exactly. That's funny. We got a shiny one in here. Yeah, that's a nice one. We haven't found this date yet. That's actually a really nice one. 2008P. Looks like this turned into an NIFC kind of box after that first initial rush. Right, that's exactly right. The money was already stolen. Or if you wanted to argue, say there is, because I understand there's arguments for limited government that's reasonable and fair. So let's for a moment just say that taxes, well, just for the sake of argument, say that taxes aren't theft. So in that instance, then you could. That is a really big scratch. Then you could argue that it's not actually stolen, but you're getting a disproportionate amount of the advantage, which creates an inequality by, kind of what I call like the Robin Hood effect. But yeah, absolutely. I believe that to take more out of the tax system than you put into it would be a form of theft against other Americans. So I never plan on taking more out of the system than I put in. Not that that will ever happen. Because since I've started my business career over the years, been working for myself for, like 11, 12 years now, I've easily put over 6 digits into the abyss, into who knows what. Part of my cash is probably on a big, it was on a pallet shipped to Iran. It's all over the place into who knows what nefarious deeds. And of course, government employees' pockets to help them exist. Anthony said, I paid $19K last year in taxes and I get back $1,200. I know. Awesome, right? Another 74D, not a DDO. $74D, not a DDO. Yeah, I'm just going to start checking them by eyeball. I got a 1971 that's the rim's almost stamped on the side of the coin. I haven't found one of them in a while. This one's so close. I can actually see the reeded edge from the front of the coin. That's really bizarre. I might have to look at that one again later. It's very subtle, but I haven't had one quite like that before. This box really cooled off. There we go. Haven't found this date yet tonight either. We're getting a whole run. 2006D NIFC. So we have 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 5 dates in a row. I see your comment, Mudswat. Thank you for that. Yes, it's hard to see every comment. Ooh, I hit a button on my keyboard with that coin. Thankfully, nothing happened. How are they not stolen? I agree that they are. I was just proposing, proposing. Is that the word I'm looking for? Oh, presenting a alternative view for the sake of conversation. No, me personally, I absolutely believe that taxation is theft because you can't. No, it's not optional. Therefore, if you don't pay your taxes, men with boom boom sticks show up at your door and haul you off to the pokey. That's how it works. And I don't recommend that anybody tries that, but if you do, I don't blame you. Sure, Richard, go for it. Yes, hypothetical. That's a much better word to use. It just eluded my mind. Thank you for that. A few random things. I appreciate you filling in my empty brain space tonight. All right, Anthony, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. I'll check out your, I got to check out your Colonial Copper you found. That's awesome. Just got like an acid dipped coin. Not going to bother showing that up close. It's raining NIFCs. $2004. Okay, when I'm at the end of this box, we got 4 more rolls, and then I'll show the goodies for everybody waiting around here. Roger, that's because of control, obviously. The more money supply that is controlled, the more of a stranglehold there are against the American people. Yes, Evan, I'm going to be showing it here in a couple minutes. No, my mom never ate the cricket. That will never happen. And did I ever dig an 8 real? No, I've never dug a real, period. That would be a shot in the dark in Tennessee. So no, I still have to find any type of real. Richard, that is absolutely crazy. Take care, Greg. I wish you all the best. I didn't check because everybody knows I don't check the enders on the bottom of the box. I can't believe this. I might have to wait and open this one live on another video. Check this out. If I can get it to focus in the ender. It never wants to focus on these ends. That is crazy. Oh, I just had it. Hold on, let's get it. Come on. It's one of those stickerized Crichton Abrams, U.S. General, 1914 and 1974, Vietnam War, stickerized $50. For some reason, it'll never focus when it's in the roll. I'll set that aside for now and decide if I want to open that. Linda wants me to open it. Look at this. We struck gold again. Look at that. Unbelievable. Come on, focus. Gold. We did it again. I'm going to have to do this one on camera. This is getting nuts. I'm going to take this roll out of here. Let me fold this and set it here. Oh my goodness. I think I might have to delete some stuff off of here. I need my other camera. This one's almost full. I had a 64 what are they call in the storage? The storage 64 gigabyte. I can't remember what they call it. But I had one of the big memory cards that went bad in one of my cameras. Reformatting it ruined it. So let me delete some clips here. Bear with me a moment, and we'll pull that out. Some of the stuff I already used on here. All right, let's go. All right, so it's been about an hour. I haven't turned the camera back on. We struck gold again. Second to last roll of the box. We've actually been finding a lot of good stuff, at least in the top half of the box. I haven't turned the camera on much, but I'll go over it here shortly. But check this ender that was on the bottom of the box too. It's not in great shape, but got another stickerized coin there from the Vietnam War series. Pretty awesome. But what we really want to know is what this gold one is right here. Check that rim out. So let's see what we got. If it's another one from the Civil War series. It is another 2014, so it looks like it's going to be. Let's flip it in 3, 2, 1. Ah, that's a bummer. This one's too damaged to be able to see a lot of it, but I will be able to tell from the design. I can research it and see what it said. So unfortunately, that one didn't last in circulation, but that's still pretty cool. We at least got a gold-plated 2014 with a partial sticker. Sweet. Hold on, let's get this going here. 2014 D, gold plated with some scratches. The sticker is almost completely gone. Somebody scratched it off. They must have taken offense to this one. Oh, I think I know what. I probably got demonetized on the last stream by saying Civil War and Confederate. Yeah, somebody probably got offended. Ooh, it was barely hanging on there. Part of that just came off. That's what I think it is. I think somebody got offended and scratched that one off. I've actually had a few coins like that before where people scratched off Civil War themed stickers. We live in a crazy world. All right, let's look through the rest of these. I got that one left, and this ender, maybe we'll open that. Hey, Jake, what's going on? Hey, Michelle, how are you doing? The family is doing well. Thanks for asking. We are doing all right. I hope you're doing well, too. This one's going to be an NIFC. There we go. 2012. First one of those. It's first 2012 of the night. Come on, focus. Thank you. Yes, Bass Head found 2 silvers tonight and one of my rarest finds ever, which I'm going to show here again in a second. Okay, so I'll do a recap of this box and then maybe save this ender, maybe not. Okay, so we got, that's like a pretty good box. I'll tell you what, for only one box, we went kind of slow tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 NIFCs, a couple nice uncirculated coins. And then I got a weird 1982 error that has no F on it, just the G initial. So we're going to save that one. I got 2 40% silvers, 1967 and 1968D. So we got on the board with some silver tonight. I got that one I just showed, the gold-plated one with the partial sticker. And then we got this gold-plated one from 2014 also. We can get it to focus. Right there. Gold-plated, amazing coin. And that's not the kicker. This is the beauty. Mintage of only 250,000. Absolute stunner. Can't believe I pulled this out of a box. And I will get it to focus here in a moment. Unbelievable. Absolutely stunning. (2008) San Francisco. Unbelievable. Can't believe we pulled that out of there tonight. The rim, I saw the rim on it. I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in on that. Just an awesome rim, thick. And there it's got an extra scratch. It is a clad variety, Dave, but it's still a beauty. In a mintage of only 250,000, making it by far the rarest coin I've ever found in a box of $50. Hey, Michelle. Yes, that's definitely a woohoo coin. I can't believe I pulled this out of there. I can't believe it happened. So what a variety tonight. An error, a cool error, 2 silvers, a proof, some gold-plated stickerized coins, a big handful of NIFCs. Oh, I found another NFC over here. So make that, what, 16? Pretty good box right there. Yeah, unfortunately, this isn't a silver one, but it's still awesome. Yes, it does look like one of those ounce rounds, just the design of it. It's a beauty. Absolute beauty. Am I going to get it graded? Probably not. I mean, it was in a roll. I mean, it's got a little bit of dirt on the eagle. There's a couple hairline scratches. I'll probably just put it in a flip. I don't see any point in having it graded. Just because it came out of circulation and it's not perfect. I don't think that would be a good use of money. All right, well, we got back up to 100 people in here and dropped down to 98. If you just came in, hit the like button. We're on stream number 2 because the first one, for some reason, YouTube crashed it. Something weird happened with YouTube and my stream crashed. Did I realize? I just refreshed my page to see what it was happening to my last stream. And somebody said, index finger is your pointer finger? Am I going crazy or is that person going crazy? I always called this the pointer. Isn't this one the index finger? I don't know. Only like $17 in PF67 according to Redbook. So yeah, not worth grading. Still nice. I agree, Christopher. I definitely wouldn't have it graded, but I'm super happy to have it. That was really cool to pull out of a roll. Are you playing with me? No, it's the first one. I know that's the thumb. I mean, I ain't that dumb. Pinky, middle finger. I don't know. Do you call it anything else? Index, pointer, right? JD, flip a coin. If it lands heads, you have to do a dunk. If it's tails, you have to spin the basketball on your finger. That's a problem because I can't spin a basketball on my finger, believe it or not. Maybe for like 5 seconds. I was never able to learn that skill, especially with a small basketball. That would be a train wreck. But we could do a dunk for just for the sake of it. What's the oldest thing I've found in a roll would be I think a 1942 Walking Liberty half dollar. Or no, wait. I think I did find one from the 30s once. I did. I think it's 1937. 1937 Walking Liberty half is, I think, my oldest find in a half dollar box. Thumb, index, middle, ring, and pinky. Thumb, index. So your index is your pointer. Middle, ring, and pinky. Okay. Is that technically, does that hold up in the medical field? Or is there some crazy medical terminology? Like phalange number 1, phalange number 2, phalange number 3. Last roll might be the best one. Well, it's got that ender. That's a pretty cool ender. Never had a stickerized ender before. You know, does anybody realize how many things had to go right for that to end up on the end and facing the right direction? A lot had to happen for that to happen. JD, remember my undated draped bust, large cent? I managed to pull the rest of the date off of it. I think 1796, no idea on the variety. Well, that's pretty awesome. That's funny, Cambria. Phalanges are indeed numbers. I don't know how it works. Phalanges are like, yeah, isn't that like your toes and your fingers are considered phalanges, right? Of course, after I stream for a long time, the streams get really weird. Everybody knows this. Phalanges. Definition. I don't think that was spelled right because I took your spelling off the chat. Well, it's not this one, but this is hilarious because we were talking about some political stuff. A phalange is a right-wing Maronite party in Lebanon founded in 1936 by Pierre Gamaliel. That's not the one we're looking for. Oh, my goodness. This is too funny. That's too funny. That's cracking me up. I can't even get away from the politics. I tried. Don't hate me. How far am I from Memphis? About as far as you can get away from Memphis and still be in Tennessee. Memphis, Southwest, me, Northeast. Good night, Dave. Thanks for stopping by. Richard said, now I'm surely demonetized. Yeah, I almost said, Sylvia D. I almost said the thing, and then I said Confederate, and then I said Civil War, and then we talked about, then I had to mention some political things, so I think I'm doomed. Actually, something weird happened. It went through the filters after the video processed. I think they remonetized the last stream. Not like it really matters anyway. The streams really don't make money apart from super chats. A little bit from people watching them back, but we're talking like a few bucks probably less than $10. Streams don't really make money on YouTube apart from super chats. They're really not good for channel growth either. I just have a lot more fun doing them. I'm sure you all do as well too, I think. I hope. Well, if you're here, you probably do. But if you're waiting for my normal upload, you're probably like, stop streaming and put up a real video. JD looks like a fish man. I thought it said fisherman. What's a fish man? Sure that. Camber said autocorrect betrayed me. Toes are tarsals, I believe. I've never heard of that before. But I told everybody when I was researching stuff for the thing, obviously the medical field is not my area of expertise. Science and medical are probably the two things that are farthest from my areas of expertise. Why can't I find the definition of a phalange here other than the Lebanese political party? Wait, here we go. People also ask, are phalanges toes and fingers? The phalanges are the bones that make up the fingers of the hand and the toes of the foot. They couldn't have worded that any more confusing. The toes of the foot. Oh, I stubbed the toe of my foot. Oh. There are 56 phalanges in the human body. 56. With 14 on each hand. Wait. Yes, with 14 on each hand and foot. The proximal phalanges join with the metacarpals of the hand or metatarsals of the foot. There's that word. And at the metacarpophalangeal joint or metatarsophalangeal joint. Whew. Well, we learned something today. Entertainment, education, and politics. Welcome to JD's Variety Channel. Or if I haven't already covered a topic you're not interested, just wait. Now I'm having fun looking at the Google definitions. Why do phalanges hurt? Medical conditions. Medical conditions that affect the nerves, muscles, or bones can also cause finger pain. Okay, that's boring. Is the thumb a finger? A thumb is a digit, but not technically a finger. A digit? Many people don't make the distinction between thumbs and other digits. So somebody was right. Phalanges are numbers? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. So then why don't when I was in school, it was like forbidden to count with your digits. Like I used to count with my fingers under the table. Like, why not use them? They're there. I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing anymore. Like when I was young, it was like for some reason people didn't want you counting with your fingers. Is that still a thing? How many bones are in your body? The human skeleton is the internal framework of the human body. It is composed of around 270 bones at birth. This total decreases to around 206 by adulthood after some bones get fused together. This is all news to me. I must have failed health class in school. The bone mass in the skeleton reaches maximum density around age 21. The unfortunate thing about men is our brain doesn't fully develop till we're around 25 years old. And then after I turned 25, everything started hurting. So as soon as my brain was fully formed, I started to die. Optimism. That's okay. I'm looking forward to getting my glorified body someday. Give yourself credit for science. You can run a metal detector. Thank you for the kind word. Steven's still going with the jokes. Why did the bicycle collapse? Hold on. I got to think of a good answer for this one. Why did the bicycle collapse? He joined the economy. I don't know. Because he wanted to join the economy. That's what I meant. Okay, well, I guess we'll go with the jokes for a bit. This is kind of fun. Thank you, Charlie. I have that look. I hope. I mean, I don't think that's a question like people should answer. It's like pointing to myself. I'm a good person. I'm a good person. I'm not. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get demonetized. I'm not racist. But like I say that playfully and jokingly because like who should have to defend themselves against that unless you're like trying to justify yourself or like, virtue signal. Like I don't think I should have to tell anybody. Like I think that's kind of like let's just do a presentation about all the things that are good about me and how good of a person I am. And shame on everyone else. You're electric. Thank you, Jimmy. If you're talking to me. Zachary, nope. His last job was in retail. My last real life. I can't believe I used that word. I gave in to the pressure. People always say when people don't like my videos or something, they don't know that I like have like multiple other jobs and revenue streams. From like years of working for myself, and they're like, "Get a real job, JD," and I just like laugh because like I always like laugh because like define it? What is a real job? Like that's like one of the dumbest terms out there. Like, okay, what's a fake job? Like if you get paid, it's technically a real job, even if it's a really stupid job. It's still a real job. Okay, what's the cheapest? Hi, JD, what's the cheapest under $1? Wait, hold on. Did I get that right? What's the cheapest under $1? It's a weird one. What's the cheapest under $1? 99 cents? I don't know. I'm too tired to come up with a witty answer for that one. It's messing with my brain. Hey, David from Australia, how's it going? Cameron, I had a feeling it was going that direction. I did have a feeling. I was gonna say about something like something about a I don't know, something on those lines. But yeah, very funny. I had a feeling it was going that direction. I was going to say like a hunter that got trampled or something. What is Mambo number 5? I don't even know what that is. Am I out of the loop? I don't even know what that is. It's a stupid song. It's probably copyrighted. Jason, what happened? Yes, Charlie, my glove has a hole in it. That's my coin roll opening finger. Dylan, I don't understand why you keep asking that. So maybe I probably won't until I have a good explanation. Richard says, JD, when I first met my wife and she came to my business one day, and after a few times, she says, you're kind of lazy. And I said, well, yeah, what's your point? That's funny. That's funny. Why do we tell actors to break a leg? Because it's better than special effects. I have a feeling I shouldn't look up this song. I probably won't be able to get it out of my head. Oh, is that the name of that one? Is that the song? I know what you're talking. I didn't know that's the name of it. They played that back to my retail days. I had to listen to all that 80s and 90s music. Drove me nuts. I absolutely hate that variety station music. Oh my gosh. I'm if I wouldn't have quit retail when I did, I probably would have had a mental breakdown or something. I really need a mod. I think all my mods went to bed. I have quite a few mods. I'll donate if you sing the song. I don't think I'm going down this rabbit hole. Hold on. Maybe if I turn my volume down really low, I'll see what's happening here. Why is everybody talking about this? Okay, well, it's obviously searched a lot because it came up as soon as I started talking. Oh no, what am I getting myself into? No, I'm not singing that. Sorry. Let's. Hey, Jimmy, what are you thanking me for? What did I do? It's weird. It's like 1:22 a.m. here on the East Coast, and the chat's going faster than it was earlier. So I have not worked retail for about 8 years, but the last like 2 years I worked retail, I was on mostly like 1 or 2 days a week for like a 6-hour shift. I just kept the job to keep things from getting stagnant, and I liked the people that I worked with. So for the last like year I had my job, I just stayed on for like 1 day a week, and I would go in if they needed help or on like truck day or something. I mainly worked register. I did do some stocking. I was mainly the register dude because I could get people out of a store. I'm quick, and I'm just a numbers person, as everybody knows. So I could, like, people would ask me like percentages off, like in the store. They'd be like, "Can you price check this? It's 20% off." And I just say what the price is, and they're like, "Well, you didn't even check it." And I'll say, "Well, I know what the price is." The one lady was asking me one time. She said, I don't know why I remember this. I just remember numbers. She said, what was it? I think she said, "This is 20. This is 20 $25, and it's 25% off." She said, "How much is it?" So it's an easy one. I split it in my head. 25% off split into 4 parts is 6.25 times 4, 6, 12, 18, 24, and 4 quarters is $25. So you take $25 minus 6.25, and you get $18.75. And I told her, I said, it's $18.75. And she said, you didn't check the price. I said, well, I know it's $18.75. And she said, well, can you check it for me? I said, okay. I scanned it on the price check, and it was $18.75. She goes, how did you do that? I said, well, I did. I don't even remember what I was talking about now. But yeah, I was like I kept the cashier position for years because my register was like almost never off. So yeah. But yep. I was a cashier, and I got to pull out, old coins. Yeah, I'll talk about it for a minute. So let's see. My years as a cashier, what did I find? I found a lot of wheat pennies. A few times, my boss got a couple full rolls of wheat pennies that I was able to buy from the vault at the store. Um, I found a lot of war nickels. Very rarely, I did find a couple buffaloes, pretty rare. Surprisingly, I didn't find more, but I did pretty well on the war nickels. Um, Silver was really hard to find. Even though I cracked open a lot of rolls, I didn't find a lot of silver. You got to go through a lot of quarters and dimes to find silver. I don't think I ever found a silver in a roll that I opened. Normally, it was people that gave me money. I found a few silver quarters. I remember very clearly one day, I don't know why, somebody bought a pack of Starburst gummies, just the small pack when they were 50 cents, and there's no tax on them. They paid with 2 silver Washington quarters. And I should have asked them, I should have said, hey, can I get do you have 4 more quarters on you? If I give you $1. But yeah, a ton of wheat pennies, did pretty well in the war nickels. I did okay on the silver dimes. They popped up once in a while, but not a lot. I did find 1 Indian head penny, 1 or 2, but that was really, I wasn't expecting that. I opened my drawer in the morning and there was an Indian head penny in it. But I didn't find anything really rare. What I did get more of was actually older bills. Especially a bank was circulating some old paper money, and people were cashing their checks and coming in them and spending them. So in the span of like a week, I was getting a lot of $10 and $20 bills from 1950. That was pretty cool. I think $5 bills too. But I got a lot of old paper money. So yeah, cool stuff. Oh yeah, tons of bicentennial quarters, but I really didn't pull them out. My boss let me the people that the higher ups, my boss and the lead cashiers, they knew I kept some change in my pocket, and they would let me swap it out. And my drawers, my register is always balanced, so they knew I wasn't stealing anything. Hey Aaron, how's it going? Things out my way are going pretty good. Had counterfeit called the Secret Service. I don't think I ever got a counterfeit bill. But when I was a newbie to the register, I didn't check like I should have. And I'd tell you what, scammers will do anything. I didn't check it good enough. I fell for the roll full of dimes with 2 pennies on the ends. Somebody paid with it, and I didn't check it. So on my early days of being a cashier, somebody did the good old 48 excuse me, 48 pennies with 2 dimes on the end. So instead of a $5, it's what, 68 cents. So that was actually a very popular scam for a while. A roll of pennies with 2 dimes on the end. People would try to spend them. And then I think what would happen is if you argued with them, they'd say, oh, I got it from the bank that way or something, to make it look like it wasn't them, or probably just run off real quick. Thank you, Carol. I'm okay. Just my one eye's bloodshot. Long day, but I won't be staying much longer. Andrew, you're funny. I only had 1 or 2 times, there was only a couple instances in many years where my drawer was short. Normally it was from the rolls being off. Because see, my bank used to not check the coins, and they would just give the rolls to the businesses. I found the washers in the quarter rolls and all kinds of goofy stuff. Sometimes they were short, so sometimes it wasn't me if it was a little bit of change. But there was a few times when I forgot to give somebody their change or something. Like once I had like $10 extra or $5 extra. Very rarely. It happened a few times. I think there was only like one time when I was like $5 short. I'm not sure if I gave away an extra 5 or something. Of course it happens. Bills stick together. But I've never had problems with fingers sticking like some people. Like I had a good system down for separating them. It never bothered me. Darren, very funny. That's a good one. I like that one. Maybe shouldn't read it on the stream though. Do I have a favorite state quarter? I'll be honest, you didn't have to delete that one, but I don't mind it being in the chat, but I won't repeat it. I've talked about newer coinage. I just think all the state quarters look awful. I'm just being honest. I think the designs of the U.S. coins have kind of like gone down the hill, except that some of these proof ones are really awesome, but I just don't like the state quarters, the low relief. They all kind of have the same vibe to them, and they've been making them since what, like 1998? They're boring to me. See you, Jason. I hope you had a good time. Have a good night. Yeah, lots of interesting things as a cashier, that's for sure. Andrew, oh yeah, the stream ended. I had to start it over, so my PO box isn't in the thing. I'll put it in the chat here if anybody wants my PO box. If anybody wants to send me a card or something. I like looking at mail. Oh yeah, let's put this first. There's my address. Okay, wait. Frank said, I remember once I went to McDonald's and my order was $16.76. I gave the kid $20 and he proceeded to give me $16.76 change. I had to explain to him he was giving me the wrong change. That's funny. I have seen stuff like that happening. One of the habits, one of the cashiers got into a bad habit for a while, which I can't remember if I did or not, but people would process the paper checks and then hand them back to the customer. Coin Hunting Drew, what is up? Haven't seen you in a while. I hope you are doing well. So I got a funny story too, like this whole thing with cashiers. My dad got, I can't remember. He was paying for, I think he was paying for gas. He was at a gas station. I don't know if he's getting coffee but he gave the guy, I can't remember if it was a 20 or 50, and he gave him his change back and he handed it to him and he said, "Is that right?" So my dad was like, "Is that right? So if I tell you it was $20 short, you're going to give me another 20?" It's like, yeah, I don't know how they get jobs, but we got to do a dunk for Coin Hunting Drew. Ah! Well, it's good to see you, Drew. I'm glad you could pop in for a little bit. You should post a video sometime. Just for old time's sake. It could be about anything. Gail, really funny. Finally, someone else agrees with me about the state quarters. I hate them. Yeah, I just don't like them. There's no nice way to say it. I got to take these gloves off. Or no, wait. If I take these gloves off, then yeah, then I'll probably want to leave because this is going to be really nasty and sweaty. Oh yeah, my hands are really nasty. I'll just take them off. That's what we deal with. Coin roll hunting. You either get dirty hands or nasty, sweaty, disgusting hands with nothing to wipe them on. Oh well. What am I going to do? Linda says open the roll. I don't know. I think I should save it. What's going on, Sue? Oh, I think you were in here earlier. The chat was going fast for a while. The worst is when I give them extra, like my bill was $16, so I give the girl 20 and a 1, and she just stared at it. I was like, just give me a $5 bill. That is hilarious. I had the same issue. I stopped doing that to people because I used to do the same thing. And like say I got, I don't know, just like fast food or something, I would do the same thing. And they would go, "You gave me too much." I'm like, "No, just punch in." I got tired of arguing with people. Like I knew exactly what was happening. There was, I think it's a like an older generation thing too. There were some elderly people that came into the store, and some that weren't like elderly, but it was just to generalize. It was like a 40 plus thing, and I get it. I did the same thing. It's if you're a numbers person, people would do that. And I would know what they were doing, and they would be, hold on, let me get a $1 bill out. And I'd be like, okay, and I'd get I know what was going on. But a lot of people, cashiers these days, if your bill's like $16 and you hand them a 20 and a 1, they get this like, they get this puzzled look on their face, like, what is happening? It's I guess in a way it's kind of sad. But yeah, I mean, I guess, who am I to judge though? I mean, whether it's the educational system or they could have had a rough upbringing and not much of an education. So, hey, they're out working, all the best. I won't judge their situation. When you're a kid, you only have access to whatever's out there, whatever you're exposed to, whether it's good or bad or mediocre. We all come from a different starting point. But yeah, it's I'm a numbers person, so to me it all makes sense. But of course, we were talking about earlier, but I'm a numbers guy. But when it comes to medical stuff and science, not my cup of tea. It's because they can't count backward. No, I think it's more simple than that. I think it's just that 21 is more than 16, and bills come in denominations of 20. Therefore, the $20 cover. Okay, so it's like you see the bill 16, somebody's going to give you 20. That makes sense. 20 is more than 16. Most people know that. I mean, if you're a cashier and you don't know that 20 is more than 16, you're going to get fired pretty quick because you're probably going to be giving away a lot of money, or yeah, it's going to be bad. So you get the 20, it's 16. So in your mind, you're thinking 20, right? Or at least 2 10s or something like that. Okay. So 20, but a $1 bill, why would you add a $1 bill? 20 covers it. It's covered. It's covered. Why you give me more money? It's covered. That's what I think it is. I think it's really that simple. Thank you, Dimitriana. I'm glad you like the eagle. And it says on the bottom, I am smiling. Everybody's talking about needing money in the chat. What's going on? Yeah, Common Core. Yeah, I won't get started about education being government run and corporation run. It's a little bit of everything. Go for it, Drew. I'm still subscribed to your channel. I'll see it in my feed. What is elderly? Me? Elderly. I don't know. It's kind of a generalized term. Someone who's been around the block for many years. Hey, J5, what's going on? Hey, that'd be cool if you go out tomorrow. I've been kind of taking a break from metal detecting and also really busy too, be in the process of moving here shortly. But yeah, just I'll be busy for a while, but maybe I'll hit you up when things die down. But of course, with this thing going around, Obviously not doing traveling, especially in busy areas. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you ever do make it down this way, holler at me. But for now, I'm actually not meeting up with anyone right now. All I'm doing is like running into the post office and dropping stuff off, keeping my distance from people. Because for a while, a long story, I'm not going into it, but I've been helping my parents with stuff too. So we kind of have this pact going right now that we're limiting our exposure because my mom can't afford, and my dad, it wouldn't be good for him either. But my mom especially can't afford to get this virus due to existing respiratory issues. So we're kind of we've isolated ourselves right now for the most part. So yeah, pretty much. Apart from once in a great while, we'll get takeout from somewhere just through a drive-through. Or like still want to try to get some fresh fruits. I'm stocked up on a lot of other stuff, but only trying to go shopping like once every 10 days and just grab some like fresh produce and stuff like that. A lot of the fresher stuff. What is going on, Rob? Good to see you here. You missed this is actually the second stream because the first one, like YouTube crashed it or something. I don't know what happened. And I had to start over. For anybody just coming in, I'll show it again. I made my best find ever in a box of half dollars with a mintage of 250,000 right here. We'll get her to focus. Actually, I don't have my gloves on. There we go. Look at that beauty. Look at that proof. Unbelievable. We had some pretty good finds tonight. 2 40%ers, 2 gold-plated coins, one with the sticker rubbed off, one still has it on. Some awesome stuff. And somebody just got disappeared from my channel. Boom. Sandra, how are you doing? I guess the late crowd's coming in. JD, must admit you've been practicing this hermit stuff for years. Yeah. Not really. I still get out a lot. Like I do miss the routine of like, because see, since I work for myself and I'm not married and I live in an area where that not a lot exciting happens, I miss the two things I miss is like just going out to eat and the interactions with people, like, grocery shopping. Like to me, that was kind of like my interaction, but especially playing basketball at the gym. That would be a horrible idea. Like even when this thing first started, I just stopped going to the gym completely because of playing basketball. You're getting spit on and close contact with people and just not good. So I miss being able to play basketball with people. But yeah, my lifestyle hasn't changed too much since this thing came out. It hasn't changed much at all. I'm not door knocking for metal detecting now. I think it's inappropriate with what's happening right now. I don't think some people would take too kindly to it. Even if most were okay with it, I'm just not going to do it. But I've been taking a break anyway. I'll just quickly say, because we're in a stream, but I mean, I honestly, my upper body muscular health is not doing very well. So I'm struggling a bit, but I don't want to be a downer on the stream here. But I am struggling a bit, so I don't know how my future is going to look with metal detecting, to be completely honest. Dawning a new era in my life, but I'll always be a treasure hunter. So even if I'm only metal detecting like once a month or something, I don't see myself ever quitting. It's just I just really enjoy it. Luke, what's going on? Everybody's coming in late tonight. half the stream died. I lost half the viewers when the stream crashed. About half the people couldn't refind the stream or didn't look for it or whatever. That's one of the reasons I stopped doing these live long streams too. I'm going to try to get a setup when I get moved into my new place. I'm going to get a standing desk. It's really hard on me to sit for long periods of time. So I'm going to be looking into doing a standing live streams, whether that's whatever I do, whether I do chats or coin roll hunting or, just discussions. I am going to throw it out there. I may eventually start trying to set up taking callers and having long format discussions on the channel, almost like a podcast format for various topics. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that on this channel yet, but whatever I do, I'm going to try to move my live streams to standing up because it's a lot easier on my neck and my legs too. The muscles in my legs get really tight. I actually blew out one of my muscles after sitting for 2.5 hours in a live stream. And now I get inflammation in one of my tendons, kind of like by my hip. And it's hurt for like the last year now. It gets really tight. Getting old. I'm getting old. 31 years old. And I'm feeling it. I think I've always been a very athletic person. And then I got the treasure hunting bug. So I've really abused my body, so it was probably a long time coming. So I'm probably like a 31-year-old and probably like a 45-year-old's body. I'll just have to deal with it the rest of my life the best I can. All right, Milton, thanks for stopping by. Sandra, we'll see. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet if I do, but I'll make an announcement. If I take like callers and do it more like that and start it like that, I'll probably invite some people and then I'll definitely give premium access to those who have been on my channel for much longer than like I won't like do a random number or call in like something. It'll be ahead of time, but the people at the top of the list will be those who have been around for a long time. Mudswad said, wait till you're 40 then, or wait till you're 60. I know, I am not looking forward to it. It's rough now. I don't know, because I kind of shared with everyone before how I was in this. Yeah, I explained it in my Should I Quit YouTube video about how I had this thing where if I metal detected, I felt better, but then I felt worse. Like it kind of like took the edge off, but I felt like I was getting worse long term, and I didn't know if I took an extended break if I would get better. I think I can definitively say now the extended break, or at least a month and a half off, hasn't done anything. It really hasn't. So it just is what it is. I just try to exercise. Like I can't really even do the things that I enjoy anymore. Like one of the things, like live in a rural area, just like to get some basic, sunshine outside and just enjoy the outdoors. I like, I like basic landscaping, like pruning trees and, doing things to make, the surrounding look more beautiful and like, just spice it up a bit. But the way my muscles are, I can barely do yard work for a few hours without being in extreme pain. I have weakness kind of in the center of my spine. And like today, just doing work for a few hours, like my back almost went out tonight when I got out of the shower. You can tell when you're just one move away from it going completely out. And I had to lay down on the floor until my muscle could unwind. So that's just where I'm at. I don't make a video about it. I don't really talk about it much anymore, other than once in a while. Yeah, dealing with this in life at an early age, some of the issues I have, it's really caused me to think about other things and not be so focused on a certain trajectory in my life. And I'm excited about where things are going to go. I really am. Go hiking and make a video of doing hiking. It would be cool. I could do some basic vlogs, but I mean, a lot of people really don't aren't really interested in just basic vlogs. I mean, some people are. I mean, I could post up some vlogs. I've honestly lost my passion for, I don't know if it's I've lost my passion. I think maybe because I've done it for so many years, it's not like a burnout. I just have kind of lost interest in filming a lot of videos. Like I'm kind of uninterested, to be honest, sometimes. But I did buy a brand new DSLR camera. So when I do film new videos, I'm going to try to amp up the quality. I've got some ideas, but I think I'm really going to change things up. And I have to go where my life is going with the channel, because if I'm trying to just hang on to the past, I think it's going to hold me back. So whatever it is, I'm going to make it I'm going to do the best I can at it. I know that for sure. Dylan said, what's your other channel? I'm a youth pastor and would love to watch more encouraging videos than what YouTube has to offer. Let me pull it up here. I have two other channels. One I use strictly for faith-based content, which I might be doing some very... give me 1 second. I might start doing some, like, I don't know what to call them. I don't want to call them teachings per se, but let's just say deep dives and like almost like lectures on certain topics, and refuting certain ideologies within Christianity in the world generally, but also within Christianity as well. I really plan on doing quite a few different things. But here's the link to that channel. And I have a spare channel that I don't know what I'm doing with yet. All I know is I deleted all the videos on it, so it had a clean slate, and I let everybody know. So here's the other channel. So I have 3 channels. One is JD's Variety Channel, one is JD Uncensored, and the other one is Set Apart. So the other channels are very small compared to this one. There's not a lot of content on the other channels yet because I've been busy. But there is some content on it. J5, I wouldn't go into it really on here. The answer is no, and I would say run as far away as you can from that person. Do I ever listen to, yeah, I probably shouldn't get into it on this stream. Do I listen to Charles Lawson? I have in the past. He actually used to, his church actually used to be 5 minutes from where I lived. When I lived in Knoxville, he's actually located in Knoxville. How do I don't like critiquing people on the fly, because then I don't like critiquing people without presenting proper evidence and refutation of certain things. I have found, I'll just keep it saying I found some issues, but probably shouldn't go into all that on this stream. But if you guys want to discuss all of this, I would love to talk about a lot of this in the other channels. But I am very well versed in like let's call it Christian culture. I've been an analyst for a long time in all sorts of things. That's like half my life is like an analyst. That's what my personal interest is, in analyzing current events, current events within and movements within Christianity and the world at large, various religions. Haven't really talked about it much on this channel because anytime you bring up stuff like that, a lot of people have an absolute fit. Let's see. Man, I've been here way too. Oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I gotta go here. I don't think it's like a writer's block type thing. I think sometimes when you do something a lot in life, especially editing videos. In my instance, filming and editing videos for a long time, it was like therapeutic for me. So I think it's just I think part of the cycle has run its course. This is why I like the live streams better now. Part of the cycle has run its course because isolation and doing things alone was a very key part of my life in getting my head clear and having the right perspectives on a lot of things and keeping my mind where it needed to be. But you reach a point where you can't just completely keep retreating to isolation and be like an extreme introvert. So I don't think it's more from a writer's block. I know what that is. I've experienced that before. That's more like a burnout. But it's different this time. It's just that doing a lot of things solo anymore, I just don't enjoy it like I used to. I think because I don't have that connectivity to other people. Now, that being said, every once in a great while, I just love to go in the woods and film and talk to people and metal detect and that sort of thing. If I lived up north, I would do it a lot more because I could be finding colonial stuff in the woods, but I can't do that down here where I live. So, some of the things I want to do, I just can't. I would love to do nothing but film like every video deep in the woods looking for treasure. But it's very tricky here in Tennessee. And door knocking was my bread and butter. So now with this thing going around, makes it even more difficult. But I've needed an extended break anyway, so it is what it is. Cheap Chinese said, "Don't worry, it's so good. I like a topic of God. I'm for one not a fan of mega churches. I believe the message gets lost." Heck, what? It's the end of my live stream. It's late at night. We can go into whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't care. First of all, there's major problems with the general church structure in the West, and of course, it's exacerbated by mega churches. Most mega churches are just ear ticklers, and a lot of them are con artists, but at the very least, ear ticklers. When the West, especially since the 1990s, started moving to a seeker-sensitive messages, wherefore you don't want to risk offending everyone. We'll start making the worship services really glamorous and fog machines and lights and very energetic music. When it moving to a seeker-sensitive model and purposefully avoiding important topics of not wanting to scare people off. Yes, churches generally have become extremely watered down over the years and have a message that in many instances barely even resembles the Bible anymore. And of course, that is exacerbated in the megachurch setting because if you can have a message that is appealing to, say, 50,000 people, well, then there's a very good probability that you're not actually teaching the truth if you're able to maintain an audience that large. Most people don't want to hear the honest truth, and that's why they can maintain such large gatherings to begin with. So that's just a little bit of a snapshot. But you also have churches that are set up as a conflict of interest. Not that they're all bad, but I found that it's normally a bad sign that most churches are set up as 501 C3s, where it's a business model. Where the pastor comes from seminary and gets a set amount of money to teach you. So it's in the pastor's interest to keep you attending, not necessarily tell you the truth. I'm not saying that can't happen, but at its core, it's a conflict of interest. So if I was ever somebody who was in a teaching position over other people, I would not want paid for it, because to protect my own conflict of interest, I wouldn't want to allow anything in my life that may cause me to say things that I don't want to, because I'm having my own interest in mind. So there's a lot of issues, and I mean, that's just getting started. That's just a conversation starter. We can talk about these things all night. I think small groups are the thing of the future, especially what's happening now. It's showing you that if we don't have the ability to gather with people in small groups and keep connected over the phone and things, what happens to those who were attending traditional churches but yet didn't have meaningful connections in their lives, apart from Sunday mornings? So now there's going to be have to be asking some real questions. But it seems like once you get outside of the realm of small groups, it does get tricky. We live in a very fast-paced world, and all sorts of ideas try to get imported into churches. And unfortunately, with the top-down pastor model, it's normally like, it's literally like an audience where you have a ton of people sitting down and one person doing all of what they would call what they call the sermon. It's problematic. I've seen where it leads. From personal experience too. I've been involved in some very bad situations, and I've seen it replicated all over the West. It's we live in interesting times, that's for sure. Yes, Charles, sometimes the truth hurts, and it's always balancing that fine balance between being a pushover and being hypercritical. I found that that's one of the most important balances in all of life. We have to know when to speak up and when to shut up, but it's that fine balance. Yeah, the live streams are getting popular within groups and churches too. The closest church that I could attend that I know there's not any false doctrine is actually like 6 hours from me, and I visited like 4 months ago, and it's getting that real, that's for sure. But they also do live streams. I'll share it with anybody if anybody wants to watch it. I mean, I highly recommend the resources here. I'm going to link to it right now. I highly recommend, especially for current events, is good too. But I'm not sure if anybody here is familiar with John Haller and Steve Mitchell from Fellowship Bible Chapel. I have visited their church in person, and they are all about the truth, whether it offends people or not. So, of course, the church is the people. I use that term loosely when I call it a church. It's a gathering. And I follow, they're on a lot of the elders at that church. Like I said, I'm loosely using that term for the sake of conversation. On the same wavelength as me in a lot of things. And that is the closest church that I can attend, and it's about a 6.5 hour drive. So that probably won't happen more than once or twice a year at the moment. I appreciate the kind words, Charles. And hey, I'm sure we can all relate to this, but it's the trials in life that can bring the best out of us. And that's why I've learned, never try to pray yourself out of a trial. Pray that God brings you through it, because we want to be refined by fire to bring out everything that God wants to accomplish in our lives. that he heals us through our pain, not insulates us from our pain. And that's why I always say that when it comes to prayer, be very careful, very careful. Don't always try to pray that people get healed. And if God's impressing it on you that he wants you to pray for somebody that they're healed, then go for it. Absolutely. I'd never tell anyone not to do that. But always keep in mind, is this thing that you're suffering with or somebody else is suffering with? Maybe that's the springboard that God's using to bring more light into their life. And maybe pray that God meets them in the midst of that trial, not necessarily pulls them out of it. Well, we know he's going to pull them out of it. We know what our eternal future is. The question is, we know that all trials are temporary. So let's put the emphasis on what's important and not all these crazy prosperity teachers selling snake oil and telling you that you need to give money to be healed. Everyone could be healed right now, spiritually. It's free. It's available. But the price was steep. The key is praying for God's will to be done. And we don't always know what that is. So we can say, I hope healing comes. I pray for healing. But if that's not your will, thy will be done. Yeah, it is really sad with all the prosperity teachers out there. They really prey on the older generations too that aren't as technological, and it's pretty sad. Yeah, if anybody wants to continue on with this conversation, if I stop, I'm going to leave. So if we don't continue this, I'm done anyway. So come on, focus on me. There you go. It's funny. The people who don't like the live streams when they go into like politics or religion or anything like that, the heated comments always come in like a day after the live streams post, because it's not the people that really, care about the streams and like to spend time here. It's kind of like all the people that roll through the channel that like want to create a ruckus. So I've realized that just to ignore all that. It seems like all the people that are angry, they always roll in and leave their comment like a day after the streams are over, and they're not watching the whole stream. Am I moving out of the 1885 house? That's kind of up in the air right now, whether this place is going to be sold or whether my parents are going to be living here. So if my parents stay, they're going to be here for a little while. But yes, I'm moving out. I may still be here from time to time, but yes, I'm planning on moving out. 1886 house, you were 1 year off. Linda, that can be an indication, but there's also a lot of other dead giveaways too. Hey, no problem, Darren. I try my best. If I could have a little bit of a meaningful conversation on the end of the stream, I'm all for it. I think we're moving into a new era. Moving into a new era of history. The world's going to face a lot of complications. I've been, like I said, I've been an analyst for a long time. More so, my expertise is kind of more business-minded. I've been waiting for an economic crash for a long time, since the infinitive GDP bubble was inflated once again in 2008. The unsustainable economics. And of course, focusing on Bible end times prophecy in the Bible. I knew days like this were coming. I just didn't think a pandemic would be more. I didn't expect it to be the springboard, because I don't have the medical and scientific knowledge, and I've learned a ton over the last few months. But I'm going to be doing a lot more discussions into really debated topics, getting down into the nooks and crannies. Because I mean, like, to me anymore, like what is, what is life? I can I can go the next. I don't know. None of us know how long we're going to be around. But say I do live for another 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Am I going to look back and am I going to regret it, or am I going to say, hey, I did something that I know was important at the time, and some tough questions. So I don't mind having serious discussions, at the expense of the channel from time to time, because I think open format discussion is one of the most important things in the world right now. We have the technology to be able to do it. I mean, it's amazing. Steven said, is it bad that I've never been to church? Not my definition of the word bad, because there's this actually understanding that you can actually go to church within Christianity. You can't actually go to church. That's been conflated with the building. The church are actually the people. So no, it's not bad because it's not somewhere that you can actually go. Charles, that's what I've found. I mean, I've always been a deep thinker. When I was a teenager, I had next to zero friends. I had one cousin that was close to me because she lived right down the road. Grew up with my brother and I. She was more like a sister to me. Apart from that, I had a lot of acquaintances. Pretty much next to no friends. Just on a different wavelength than me. I was just somewhere completely else. So I've lived pretty much up until I was about 25 years old. I'm 31 now. Up until I was about 25, I lived a very, let's just say, challenged life as far as not being able to relate to hardly anyone on a what do you want to call it, theological, philosophical basis. It's in 2015, that was a very key year in my life. 2015 is when a lot of the things started coming together, and I was able to break through all of the lies and a mass amount of lies and fog and misinformation and corruption throughout all of Christianity and throughout the world too. But 2015 is when things really, really started to change for me dramatically. But yeah, I've have such different interests that I've never really been able to find hardly anyone to in my area. Part of my story is I moved to Tennessee to get away from my past life that was going nowhere. Even though I've been I mean, it's been a long journey, but I've been a Christian since I was very young, and I went through a mass isolation period where I felt like nobody was on the same page, and I could go into a lot of it someday, but man, it would take me hours to peel back a lot of my story. But now having this kind of medium as the internet, where people can come from that have similar experiences and interest in you and views, that can all come together and discuss things, and we can illuminate each other. I try not to get into as much. I try not to get into debating per se, rather than discussion. But I won't hold back my opinion in discussion. But I don't like to get into debating. I don't think debates are generally very what's the word I'm looking for? Productive. Linda said, if a Christian doesn't go to church, how would one grow in their faith? I don't accept any of the misnomers within Christianity. I never said don't meet together. It's the conflation with the building. If a few people get together in somebody's home in search of the truth and of God, then that is the same thing. So when you say that someone has to go to a specific building on a specific day, there's nowhere in the Bible that can be found in a New Testament context. Sandra, no glow bugs here yet, but I did smell a skunk outside earlier. So I will not play into the whole church building stereotype. Can you seek God together in a building with a steeple? Absolutely. I just won't call it the church, because the building is not the church. The people are the church, and they can meet anywhere. You can meet in a public park. You can meet in the woods. You can meet in your home. And of course, you can meet in a leased building or an owned building with a steeple on top. But I will not call it the church, because it has dumbed down the mindset of a lot of people, and especially living in the cultural Christian South here in the Bible Belt. That's one of the first questions people ask you: where do you go to church? So I don't give into that anymore, because, and I understand some people are just trying to be nice, but I don't play into the norms just because that's the way everybody else approaches something. A few random things. Put the verse for where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am with them. That's actually a deep topic to go into sometime. I've looked into that before, and have had somebody to present something to me very interesting based on that verse. That doesn't actually, the context of that verse isn't actually applying to. I believe, is it that verse? I'm trying to think. Doesn't actually apply to talking about like a gathering setting. I think a more accurate verse to be used in this context would be the verse that talks about forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. Now, I do agree with that, but what does that mean? The assembling of yourselves together. People inflate. What's the word I'm looking for? Conflate. It's getting late. People conflate the assembly as the church building, as people would call it. Assembly simply means assembling. So it's cultural Christianity that have really hammered into people's heads that if you don't go to a church building on a Sunday morning, that therefore you're forsaking this assembly of God, which is not true. Not necessarily true. It can be true, but it's not necessarily true. You can avoid church and then avoid all other people and the progression of your faith, and then you would be in disobedience in that context. Yeah. So there is a watered down importance of a pastor or authority in your opinion, or am I misunderstanding? I probably shouldn't have went into the topic too lightly. I'm saying that there are a lot of potential issues that come from the top-down model of having a pastor. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that no one can be in a position where they're, teaching others from sort of a pastoral, what do I want to call, role per se. But that's a really in-depth topic to break down. But like I said, I talked about the 501c3, the conflict of interest. A lot of it has to do with just the inaction. It becomes more of a system where people pile into the room for, like 30 minutes a week. Somebody gives something to them and then they leave. You lose the participation. You lose the growing together. If you really break down the New Testament and everything that went down, you won't find the Western model that has been developed in churches over the years. I'm not saying that it can't be something that is utilized within the system. I'm saying something that it's something that is very it very commonly morphs into something that is extremely sinister. So I hope I kind of went through that carefully. It's not like I'm saying anything specifically against it. But I go way to the roots of things. There's no even no matter how widespread it is, if there's something that's a misconception, I will come after it. I talk a lot about framing and titles, and say, like, why do so many denominations exist? Why are there Baptists? Why are there Methodists? Why are there Presbyterians? Why are there Pentecostals? Why are there this, that, and the other? Why is there thousands of different flavors of Christianity? Because they're all starting from a point that is what I would say carefully, that is in addition to faith. They're adding to faith. We are believers in Christ, disciples in Christ, which were first called Christians at Antioch. So I don't really care whether you use the term Christian or disciple. They're kind of the same thing in a different way. And so it's losing my train of thought. It's getting really late. So where do all of these denominations come from? It's man's wanting to add to, putting emphasis on a certain thing. And as things splinter and splinter off into more groups over years, they get more into their own niche. And it's just like anything else in the world. So how could you proclaim that it's somehow special? It's like a false unity disguised as somehow having a form of unity. It's very interesting, to say the least. Bird Dog, what's going on? I am alive, and I've been here way too long. I went from coin roll hunting to politics to now talking about Christianity. We found some awesome stuff tonight, though. I found a pretty rare proof coin. There's some cool stuff. Charles said, "Dogma, LOL, man is a strange animal." Yeah, it's interesting. The interesting thing about it is you have these, and I try to go about it really careful, because when I say sometimes I say like hyper traditional Christianity, I don't mean it in like a bad way, to mean like it's somehow like elderly people's version of what they grew up with. I don't mean it like that. But when I say like hyper traditional, I more so mean like what you're saying, that's like hyper dogmatic. And it's weird. The thing is, if you take all of these hundreds of different, if not thousands of different points of micro beliefs within an overall belief, most of those people within those systems think that they're right. So one of the major problems within Christianity is and you would think that the one thing that the Bible would talk against is like some sort of bias, but there is an extreme amount of bias within Christianity. And it pains me to say that, because I find a lot of people don't actually know the difference between an opinion and a bias. Maybe we could look into it real quick here so I get the definition. I don't know if I can pull it up simply on Google. But I encourage people to explore the difference between whether you have an opinion or a bias. No, I don't believe any human being should have a bias. It basically means you're robotic and you're slave to something, that a mentality that you're just going off of, mindlessly. And a lot of like dogma commonly includes extreme amounts of bias. And I'm all for proper theology and ideology in every angle and every area of life, striving to know the truth to the best of my ability possible. One of the things I kind of always... All right, Chris, I will text you. I'm going to be really busy here for a while, but maybe I can pop out. I need to just get away for a while. So, yeah, that would be awesome to do something here soon. I'll text you tomorrow if I remember. If not, text me to remind me. Stevens Coin said, I have opinions, but stay unbiased because that's where people become self-centered. Exactly. Like, I don't expect everyone to agree with everything I say, but I'm on a pursuit too, also. And I love these type of discussions because, I mean, over the past 3 years, I've changed my mind on certain things based on certain information and different presentations and things on the internet and people sharing things with me. So that's the key. Is nothing is off limits for me, but I want to approach it from, it's not like, oh, JD, the perfect one who has it all figured out. No, I won't hold back from my opinions. And that, I think that's one of the key factors in having a bias. When you have a bias, one of the key things that happens is you are very prone to being angry and being offended because somebody else comes against your worldview. Or there's the sort of there's the part of outrage culture and virtue signaling that we live in too, that if I say something like, say, for example, oh my goodness, we're hitting all the topics. So if I say that I believe abortion is murder, then that means, therefore, somebody else thinks that I am a mean and vicious and ugly and nasty person because I'm thinking that somebody else's rights should be taken away. So and you can have that view without having a bias, but what I'm saying is it's frequent in culture, and unfortunately it's in everything. It's in everything. It's in liberalism, it's in Christianity, which I would consider one of the farthest things away from extreme liberalism, but it's everywhere. Bias in our culture of instant gratification and instant information, I think it has given many people, I'll choose my words carefully, has given many people the illusion of superiority and the illusion of knowledge, but not actually obtaining it. So I think in our hyper-informational world, it's made a lot of people think there are masters of things that they barely even understand. I see bias everywhere, all over the place. So that's my thing. I will not shy away from topics just because other people want to shut it down due to their biases. Right, the reasons Martin Luther and B.T. Roberts made strands and new beginnings became new directions, but on and on and on. Sometimes over-biased opinions. Well said, my friend, on this topic. Yeah, and I mean, I don't try to level everyone and say they didn't have. What you find out when you look at a lot of people within history that had to do with the sort of reformation of like Christianity. You see a lot of good stuff mixed in with some not so good stuff. So it's a really complex topics to kind of parse through all that. But I mean, there's just certain things that are so widely held that are just nowhere even near in the Bible. And one of the things that I get the most flack for because it's so popular, and I grew up with it. So don't think that I'm coming about it and just trying to say I don't have any experience with it. I have very, very, very personal experiences with how a certain view have made a lot of people go almost bonkers and almost cult-like upstairs, and that's pre-tribulationism. And so I grew up with a very, let's say, soft strain of Pentecostalism. So the church that I attended, I only attended church up until about, and like I said, I'm using that term loosely just so people understand for conversation. I attended a traditional building setup, Sunday morning style, until I was about 13-ish, because it was kind of an hour away from where we lived and where you didn't go all the time. But then after that, it was more of a Bible study, but it was branched out from the same group. So they didn't hold to a denomination like on their, on their marquee, on their sign, but it was affiliated with Assemblies of God, which is Pentecostal. So I say that it was kind of a hybrid, but it was, it was a basic evangelical type church, like a hybrid, in the 90s when America was like head over heels consumerist and that all leached in, and churches started to become nothing more than like social clubs and, Some of them, well, some of them were different. Some of them were more cult-like. But so I grew up with the pre-tribulationist view, not because I really like believed it. It just kind of made the most sense because everybody else seemed to believe it. It kind of made sense, and I never really put too much thought into it. And I saw how it made a lot of people go like nuts. Like, Jesus is going to be coming back within the next year. Like, we won't be here in a year. We won't be here in 2 years. And there was this weird focus on how everyone in America is somehow going to escape hardship, like while everybody else is, out in the world suffering and, being persecuted and, in third world countries and misery all around the world. Like, somehow we're just going to fly out of here without having any trouble, any trials, any pain. And it's sometimes in the hyper forms of it. And I say very carefully, because I know some people that have that view and they hold it very dear to them. So I take time in my longer discussions to go into more of the facts about it. But I've seen it do a lot of damage to people. And when you look at it historically, it was developed in the 1800s by the Jesuits and peddled by John Nelson Darby and developed. And it's like, well, you can look at the origins of it and see that it's only about 200 years old, but yet somehow, how do people tie it to historic Christianity of like almost 2,000 years ago? It was, some of the things to debunk is as easy as going to the origins. 200 years, it's only existed predominantly for 200 years. And it's contradictory to so much, but yet so many people hold that view. It's mind-blowing to me. But I realized too that I never really paid much attention to it because it's kind of more of like a secondary issue. So I never really looked into it, paid attention to it too much. But when those walls came crashing down in my life, it was like an aha moment. It's like, wow. It's like I saw all these issues. I knew something didn't sit right with me. But when I realized that I had a little bit of that was something that was kind of worked into my mind from a young age, from just seeing all sorts of conservative evangelicals all over America peddling the same ideas, Yeah, one of the major splits in churches absolutely is. Chris said over 80 Baptist churches in Unicoi County, all a little bit different. Well, they're going to even be getting a little bit more different because the Baptist, a lot of the Baptist churches now, of course, even we were talking about splintering, the Baptists have gone into, now there's Free Will Baptists, there's different strains of Baptists, but the Southern Baptist Convention, the head honchos who should not be in authority over other people, setting up these human hierarchies and building their institutions larger and larger. They've gone like full blown. The SBC has gone like full blown liberal now. If you watch some of the some of the popular Baptist preachers now and stuff, like you may as well just turn on like CNN, because all they're doing is spewing a lot of liberalist views, and then they're like trying to put a Christian veneer over the top of it. And it's like so easy to see once you come out of that sort of thing and like realize like what's happening. They try to disguise it really well, but it's mixed in there. But yeah, I guess I think the main thing that I warn people about is I would say one of the main things that I would say run from is any group of people, whatever they classify themselves as, is when you're in a system that puts a guilt trip on you for not thinking a certain way. So if you're not able to think critically within a group of people, then trying to conform and get along with those people, but allowing them to silence you, it is soul crushing. And that's why for me, I can't stay anywhere where there's obviously a bunch of things going on that I'm not going to subscribe to keep it very broad. And I've learned about that. And there's also that concept too. And I understand sometimes people have to do things to make ends meet, but it's like working a job for many, many, many years that you absolutely despise. It's like every moment of your existence can be soul crushing. And I know some people, do things and it's just to, make ends meet. I get that. But I'm the type of person, I would rather fail miserably than put myself in a situation where I get forced into something, to do something on a continuous basis that I despise, because then I would believe that I would actually start to hate myself and have a very cynical view of life. So when I started working for myself, I didn't care. If I became flat broke, and had to live in a hole in the wall, I'd do it. I'd rather do that than just do something that made me miserable every single day of my life. Chris said, just watched a frightening documentary on Scientology. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that I studied Scientology about 2 years ago, pretty extensively. And oh my goodness, I didn't realize how organized some cults were. Unbelievable. Scientology, if you go into the inner workings of Scientology, it'll make your skin curl and your hair stand up, or whatever the phrase goes. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. I mean, I've never seen such an organized cult like Scientology. The layering, and it reminds me of course, this stream's already been demonetized a long time ago, but the similarities between Scientology and almost like communist structure, where you get these weird layerings of people that think they're doing good, but they self-police, and then they start to hunt and track other people down. Now, obviously, it's not as violent as communism, but I looked at the similarities, and it's astounding. But yeah, that Scientology stuff, that's no joke. But yeah, the leader, I don't remember his name, but there's reports of him he was the top dog that nobody could say anything against, and he could literally, if he wanted, just punch someone in the face, and everybody just would stand around and just accept it. Well, he's the leader, and if he wants to administer punishment, that's okay. And oh my, it's bizarre. Is that focusing again? Is that out of focus? No, we're good. Yeah, Mormonism is very problematic as well. And there's another thing for you. Oh boy, we're down the rabbit hole deep now. That's a lot of people, a lot of conservatives are because if people are crazy into politics, your vote matters, it counts, this, that, the other. I don't buy it, but people, use your freedom to do whatever, whatever you feel in your heart is the best thing that you got to do. I'm not here to try to talk you out of it, but I always see, this is one of the things in my life that when Mitt Romney ran against Obama, the biggest thing in the Christian realm was most people would vote for him. And to me, it always, pretty much most, not completely, but most politics in the world, the two-party system in America and other areas over the world, it becomes a lesser of two evils game. How do you get the less corrupt person in power? Because it seems like the government's a corruption magnet. So I thought about that for a long time. Well, do you vote for the lesser of two evils? And, I don't take that dogmatically. It's you make up your own mind on that. For me, I just don't get involved, because I think once you start getting down the voting for the lesser of two evils, then you have to answer other questions. So I just choose not to. I choose not to play the game rather than the lesser of two evils game. So when Mitt Romney was running, I heard Franklin Graham say, and that this was way back when I was just starting to parse through all this crazy world that we live in, and all the lies and the deception and all that. And I knew, some people had some things to say about Billy Graham, and he, his ties to the Freemasons and his ecumenical uh, drive toward uniting religions and being apologetic towards Catholicism and all sorts of things. And I looked at Franklin Graham, and he made a very bold statement when Mitt Romney was running, and he endorsed him, and he said, "We're looking for a commander in chief, not a pastor in chief." And I really thought about that. It's like, so wow. So when you get down to it, is everybody really playing this game? And it's crazy. That was a wake up moment for me. The past and looking at it. And so it's like, wow. So people take this mindset that literally there's things in life that are fully disconnected from one or another. Like, I believe that everything in life intersects everything. So to hear someone in a prominent figure like himself say something like that, it says a lot. It says a lot about how a lot of things are a political game to move forward a very specific agenda, whatever that agenda may be. Sandra said fried mushrooms sound good. For a light, brief relief from the topic, I found a morel mushroom today, but it had been there too long and it was really dried out. So boo-hoo, I didn't get to eat my morel mushroom. Republicans made a deal with the devil getting Trump in. Interesting comment. See, like I took a big step from back, and my dad is actually my witness on this one, and it's almost like it was. I wasn't predicting the future, but first of all, I decided I was gonna, before I opened my mouth, I was gonna wait and see what he did with his first, year and a half, 2 years in office, because it takes a while to get the ball rolling. And when he did this whole drain the swamp thing, I looked at it objectively, and I knew, because I know how government works. And this is one simple fact. Even if he changes things for the better, for a little while, if the size of government is not reduced, when somebody else that has differing views from him, opposing views from him, gets into office, they're just going to undo all of it. So draining the swamp never turned into reducing the size of the government. It eventually turned into a game, and nobody actually really talks about that much anymore. Like, almost like they're trying to ignore it now that it kind of didn't happen. Even if he tried, I mean, I'm not judging intention here, but the size of government was never reduced. So we are going to be stuck in this cycle for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. And I said a few things. So like, when I realized he wasn't going to reduce the size of the government, I realized it was just going to be politics as usual. And it seems that what it came to be. I shared some stuff earlier about his views on the happy medium, balancing oil prices from getting too low and too high, trying to balance the corporate versus the common person, which are always in conflict. And I told my dad one thing when he got elected. And I said this to his benefit because I wanted him to succeed. I said, Trump should not take credit for the stock market going up, for him being elected and all of the stock market increases, because he was taking credit for something that is extremely fragile. And I said, because I cared about him and I wanted him to succeed, just like I wanted Obama to succeed. Now, I disagreed with him on just about everything, but to say you don't want your president to succeed is saying you want your country to be leveled to nothing. I don't want the country to descend into hell. I don't care who the president is. I want them to succeed. I just think that certain ones are doomed to failure. So looking at Trump, I gave him the benefit of the doubt before I opened my mouth. And I told my dad specifically, I said, look, of course, he's doing some good things for the economy, but I said, the way our global system works, if he's going to take credit for these stock market booms and he's going to hammer it over and over and over, I said, if it ever crashes, I said, he's going to have to take credit for it. And what happened? I don't think I think in our world, I think what we see generally on our TVs, it's a big political game. It's a narrative on both sides, left versus right. It's to me, it's like when somebody has a nefarious agenda and they want you to get distracted by insignificant things. They want you to get you fighting over a bone, two dogs fighting over a bone while the really important stuff is happening in the back room. That's kind of how I look at it. Because we're talking about Christianity specifically, and a lot of people conflate republicanism with Christianity, and the two couldn't be further apart. Now, my views really lean conservative as far as a lot of my views, but I am not a Republican, and it does not line up with all of them. That's for certain. Bankers are pulling all the strings, of course. I mean, when it comes to money supply, I mean, for the most part, bankers have a stranglehold on the world's money system for sure. Yeah, we're all affected by the president's choices. I hope. I don't care who gets elected. I hope they prove me wrong or do everything the right way. But I see in our world, there's this conflation, like the economy is God. Like if a nation is wealthy, therefore a nation is successful. And I think that is one of the views of the West that plague our society, that money equals success. If we can make people rich, we'll be successful. Of course, there's a fine balance there. You don't want extreme poverty. So, if a country's doing well, that's not a bad thing, but it's this extreme hyper focus that the economy is the health of a nation predominantly. Like to me, it's all about, this is where life happens predominantly, right here. It happens up here. So to me, critical thinking and not being brainwashed is like number one. I would like to, and I look at things, I have a hard time talking about politics the way most people do and religions the way most people do, because I look at any group of people and it is a mass amount of individuals. You can't have anything change unless the individuals themselves change. So unless individuals start changing, we're just going to be locked into this hellish sort of system where everybody's sitting around waiting for the white knight to come riding in and save the day, whatever you want to call him, whatever you want to call the person. So positions of power are always corruption magnets. So generally, I mean, some good people seek office, of course, but generally it's a power magnet. So the people that have power issues, they tend to seek out political positions. And, well, I won't beat a dead horse. Focus, there you go. So let's look in the chat. Am I the only person that thinks that almost everything that happens on the news, on TV and everything that people present is like the main issues and talk about every day? Does not anybody else, come on, focus. Does not anybody else think that it's all just a big joke? Most of it, not all of it. Let's say like 90% of it. And boom. Somebody's comments went poof. I don't follow the herd on TV, John. Well, that's good. Yep. Hey, we have a lot at our fingertips here. The internet. It's technology. I mean, it's neutral on a moral basis. It's neutral, but it's it's very useful. I mean, you can go too far with it. I've gone too far with social media, spending too much time on the computer and getting caught up in, that sort of thing. Why is it getting fuzzy? There we go. But also, I mean, we have the ability, we have like almost all of the written texts that have been digitized since the beginning of time, like all the texts that are still available to mankind that have made it through. It's on the internet, and the vast amount of research that we can do. There's really, for anyone that has a critical brain, there's no reason why we can't research all this unless it's kind of like this. I think, and like I get it. Like to go through a portion of your life, like for me, being when I turned 25 is when a lot of things really dramatically changed. So it's like taking the first 25 years of my life, and you have to be willing to say, man, I was duped for 25 years and I got to throw all that out, take those thoughts out in the trash, that way of thinking out in the trash. I think that there's an extreme pressure not to rethink your positions, but the information's out there. Just start looking into stuff. And I'm not overly conspiratorial. I don't get into talking about all the different things. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there on conspiracies and stuff. It's a pretty big community on YouTube. And of course there's some truth in it, but it's like so many people are concerned about figuring out into the deep state and who does this and who does that and the other. And I'm like, if that's your thing, but there's a lot of information out there. And I don't have a problem going through it and talking about it. And like it's like a basic educational question. How do you learn? You present things, you ask questions, you challenge your views. Click and paste is the new research. Exactly. Just grab the most shoddy headline that you can find that supports your idea and call it a research paper or something. Oh no, absolutely. Headlines are in the garbage pit these days. A lot of lumps on your head, a lot of coming against people that you've known for a long time. And when I say coming against them, I mean just being willing to question even people that you look up to. But yeah, especially on my main channel, it's like, you should just stick to the hobby stuff, and nobody wants to hear this or something like that, and or say most people don't want to hear it, which may be true. Like to me, when I have discussions and I especially go deep into topics, like we're kind of doing, when you put something out there, it's reciprocal. You learn when you put out as well. And I've learned from that too. There's a good quote that's kind of like that. Well, not exactly keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I don't like that one specifically because I don't agree with that. But the concept of you can learn from anyone. You can learn even more from the people that disagree with you. So when I put this stuff out there, it's not to change everybody's mind and say that everybody has to line up with exactly the way I see things. I learn too. And if I ever say something, and I usually don't say anything as a matter of fact, because when you start saying things as a matter of fact, when you're incorrect, you're a liar. So I think the discussional approach is how most things should be handled. And going back to that concept of dogma that Charles brought up, is a huge problem in the institutionalized church in the West. It is the idolization of dogma over the love for Scripture and the love for God. They get conflated. I mean, like, we don't have to defend God. He's perfectly capable of defending himself. So it's like focusing on like we have to sort of hold the reins to this thing of like I have to tell everybody else when they're wrong, and like, yes, this is what this verse says. It's a matter of fact. That's not Where is that in the Bible? Just look at the parables, the way Jesus taught all the whole way through the New Testament. Is it this sort of dogmatic approach of like he's defending? Like, no. He was the lamb that was led to slaughter. He gave his life willingly. He was far from this defensive person that was always trying to set people straight. He took the lowest of the low and gave them a breath of hope. He didn't hold back the truth. He did not hold back the truth. But did he have this dogmatic approach of you got to shape up your life? No. He told the truth, but it was infused with hope and compassion. And there was no guilt trip. He gave people the free will and the respect to make their own decisions. He did not force himself onto anyone. Mark Dice says, I watch the liberal media so you don't have to. Yeah, for the news, but see, for me, it's either way. Of course, the extreme liberal outlets, I have a low tolerance for, but even a lot of the Fox News type stuff, I have a low tolerance for that as well. But I watch as little of the news as possible just to kind of keep a little bit of a pulse on kind of what's going on there and what people are talking about, what's kind of taboo, what's popular at the time, what you can say, what you can't say. I just try to just enough to know what's going on. That's as much as I watch. IBTV said, thank you for speaking your mind, JD. I try my best. If I can even just do a little bit to make someone's life just a little bit better, maybe bring just a little bit more clarity, maybe put somebody down a path to, stir things up a little bit and break those chains. And like for me, because I can look back in the people in my life of who helped me break those chains. And they're not always the types of people you would think, especially because especially within Christianity, there's such a lack of deep thinkers. So a lot of the people who just started the process for me of like snowballing it, that I had something to build on. It's like I was always a deep thinker, but it's like not everybody, a lot of people I came in contact with my entire life up until I was about 25. It's like, don't ask tough questions. You think too much. It's like there was this part of me that on an intellectual basis wanted to break free, but it's like everybody else was holding me down and they weren't there. And so a lot of the thinkers that just started to open up my mind to a lot of things were people like Stefan Molyneux. And when Jordan Peterson first hit the scene, there was a lot of things that he presented that were on what do I want to say? On a general basis, something very key at that point in time in history for people to hear. I don't really follow his resources as much anymore. I have issues with some of it, but overall principles, there's some good stuff there to pull out. But just more so free thinkers and ones that aren't afraid to be hated, especially like Stefan Molyneux. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff, but he's able to pull a lot out of things because he's not afraid to be hated. And he's pretty much had to self-fund his entire thing because he's been deplatformed. And I think eventually with where my life's headed and where society is headed at large, I think it's possible that in the future I will eventually be deplatformed. I expect it. So it's not going to come as a surprise for me. I'm still tailoring what I do in a way where, it's not like I'm not like a explicitly political channel or religious channel, or like I'm out there trying to inflame people's emotions and views. Like I don't share things to try to get people riled up, but the topics that I cover just do. Even if I cover them with a perfectly normal, calm demeanor, there are people that are going to be really ticked off. And if I continue to do what I do on occasion, it'll eventually get dicey, and that's why it's not a bad idea to do the live streams, especially in one long like this. The people that are going to watch this are really the sit through it, are really the people are going to have some interest in it on even a little bit of the level. So I'm not going to like upload videos like this as a main part of my content on YouTube for this channel, because like I don't want to poke that hornet's nest for no other reason than, you know, riling people up. So it's probably best that I keep it to the live streams. Have I ever looked at Paul Washer? Yes, Stephen. I'm trying to keep it not going into topics about too many other people individually, because it takes a long time to go into it. Yeah, these are very long topics. If people like if you guys want to make a list, or, you know, go over to my other channel and put comments there of like what you would have me discuss in specific individuals and movements, I can go into more of that type of things. When I would talk about individuals such as like Paul Washer, I believe there are major issues with Reformed theology, which I believe is not biblical. I'll leave it like that. He's a very nice guy, very well-mannered teacher, but I have disagreements on a theological level. But I thought he's brought out a lot of points, a lot of good points. I mean, he had some, you know, timely points. You can tell he's someone who's very passionate, but I'm not, let's just put it this way, because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to criticize anyone without giving proper refutation. Let's just say that I do not believe that Reformed theology is proper interpretation of the Bible. And you can look up a lot of sources on YouTube for people who break that down probably better than I could. But I've actually been involved in that battle on a small scale most of my life, coming into different, what do I want to say? Coming up against the difference between people who have a Reformed view and those who don't. And they're always seemingly butting heads. And a lot of people want to sing the Kumbaya story, like everybody just gets together, we're all Christians. I think it's a little more tricky than that. Let's just say I've been pondering that and studying that and have had my acquaintance with that topic since I was a young teenager, possibly even older. So I've been mulling around these concepts and ideas in my head for almost 20 years in some areas. That's pretty good on the silver and gold. I probably shouldn't be talking about stashes of precious metals on a stream. Somebody will want to try to break in where I live. Not like I'd keep it here anyway. I was curious because my beliefs are lined up with his. Let's if you want, like, if you're subscribed to my other channel, leave a comment so that I can remember, and I can actually, like, I can go into that a little bit more. But like I said, that'll have to be done separately because I'm not prepared to do that. To go into some of the areas that I would disagree with. I will just speak broadly, and just to say, like, some of it is what happens a lot within a lot of people don't know, like, kind of the way the Christian, for lack of better terms, speaking circuit happens is a lot of these mainstream teachers and pastors end up going to conferences and participating in ministry with people that are outright heretics, and they don't call them out. And some people have the argument of, well, they're just there to tell the truth. But there's a lot of things that get swept under the rug for people to stay in this sort of like circuit of speakers that travel all around the country and all around the world. and that are part of conferences. And if you really look at these conferences and look at them at their roots, there's a lot of sinister stuff going on. And a lot of people get caught in that web. And the main issue that the church is facing, I believe, going into the future is this bend towards ecumenicalism and kind of trying to merge with other religions, to merge with Catholicism, to merge with Islam, to just interfaith dialogue. And it's so widespread within the church now that it's almost impossible to go to most conferences without being involved in movements that are just blatantly anti-biblical. So a lot of speakers find themselves in that situation and never really critically question it, or they dismiss it, which is very problematic, which should cause us to dig into their theology even deeper than we ever have. Yes, the Set Apart channel. That's where I'm going to, the most of this discussions like we went into in the last hour here will be focused on that channel. All right. Well, I've been here way too long. I think I'm going to go now. I thank everyone for stopping by. We ran the gambit tonight, that's for sure. But let me end it this way. If I could give one bit of advice to anyone, well, I could give you a lot of different, I think we could talk about a lot of different things, but if I would just want to say one thing to end off this stream, don't let anyone bully you intellectually in telling you that you think too much, that you should not express your deepest concerns about something. Do not let anybody mold you into that silence. It is not a place that I want to go. And I've spent years battling that. And I can tell you from experience, when I opened myself up to extreme criticism and no longer, I don't want to say no longer cared, but no longer cared to the extent where I would be silent, to start speaking up and having discussions and dealing with the conflict that inevitably comes from that. It comes with its own sense of satisfaction. And I encourage everyone in the world we live in just not to be another number for the sake of peace, because I believe that peace is not real. I believe it's actually a denial. And as I started to come out of levels of denial in my life, you realize that each level of denial that you come out of is more groundbreaking than the last one. And then you really start to see the picture and the puzzle more clearly. And it's illuminating. And once you get to that point, to turn back would be complete misery and destruction of everything that makes you who you are. So whatever step that is, maybe small, maybe just be talking to somebody close to you in your life and just challenging them on a little thing and not letting them have the upper hand, telling you something, and it may be something small. And it's kind of funny. Like I probably shouldn't tell this story without my mom, because she can add context to it, but it was kind of funny, and it was like pivotal in both of our lives. This was like 4 years ago. And you got to understand my relationship with my mom. Like we're really close, so we can kind of get, people think we're fighting sometimes when we're really not. But she told me something and she was kind of reverting back to kind of her old ways of how she used to be. And she was kind of like, being a little manipulative and just, I don't know, just presenting something to me in a way that like I didn't appreciate. She wasn't being respectful about it. I know that's funny, like me talking about my mom not being respectful for me, but you got to understand our relationship. And it was funny. So she just went off on one of her tangents, and I like looked at her and I like literally like pointed at her and I said, I 100% disagree with you. I'm not letting you put a guilt trip on me, and I'm letting you know where I stand right now, and that's that. And we'll keep it all. We won't get ugly about it, but I'm letting you know where I stand. That I fully 100% disagree with you, and I am not on the same page, and I am not going to even let you pull me into anything even this much. And I was like pointing at her, and I laid it out. And at first, she like didn't know how to react, but in retrospect, we laugh about it because when I was younger, I just went along with everything. And sometimes challenging the people in our lives that are the closest to us is the hardest thing to do because we don't want to create friction. But I've learned that when we sometimes don't stand up for things that are very important to us, and we let people walk over us, and there's not that two-way respect, then it actually gives people room to continue bad behavior. And I'm all about the truth in real relationships. And anytime we have to lie to ourselves in order to keep things peaceable, I think we're actually suppressing issues that will eventually come out anyway. Shelly said, that's awesome. Lucky mom. Big moment in your maturity. Yeah, it was one of those things. It's because we always had a decent relationship, but of course all relationships can get complicated. And that's one of the things. It's like, I was the person, it's like, it's most people are taught that you never talk back to mom. Right. But for me, I share this story sometimes. Like when I was young, like my problem, one of my big things as a kid is, I was like the master manipulator. I knew how to get what I wanted. So it's that breaking of the cycle. It's like if I wanted something from my parents, I could find a crafty way to get it. Like, if it was within reason. Obviously we weren't like rich or anything, but if it was like, food or something, it's like, or like I wanted to, go somewhere, like I kind of knew how to get what I wanted, and went through life probably a little more manipulative than I definitely was, than was healthy. But, you're a kid, and when you're a sly kid, you can get away with things and nobody realizes it. And so it's not like I always didn't talk back to mom because I respected her. It was because you stay on mom's good side, right? You're never going to tell off mom because then you can't get what you want, right? So people look at things sometimes very superficially and say, well, it's all about respect. No. Just about everything in life comes down to motive. So for me, that's breaking the cycle. That's saying, somebody's close to me, and even if it makes my life miserable, even if somebody is angry with me and they disagree with me and they live close by to me or they live in the same house as me, I'm going to tell them the truth, because if a bridge comes, if a gap comes in a relationship because I told the truth, then I want that gap to happen. No toxic relationships. Done. So that was pivotal in my life when I started telling people what I thought was the truth, and I was no longer afraid. Then it was a complete break from my tendency to want to manipulate them. The truth has a way of not allowing you to hide. So that's kind of like one of my stories. So when I was in my kind of early to mid 20s, I was able to make that break where I didn't keep relationships kind of away from important issues in order that I can fulfill myself. And when I made that final break, I was able to start making relationships with those close to me, and it wouldn't get toxic. Because if there's an issue, if you have an issue with your friend, instead of being, part of me is I especially used to be a lot more passive. So you would just sweep things under the rug because you didn't want to deal with it. But now it's like, even if I don't want to say it, like I have to tell my friend if I have an issue with their behavior or something, because if I don't, then it's just going to build and build and build. And I had some friendships that went sour because I wouldn't speak up. So the problems built and built and built, and then you eventually, it reaches a climax. So that's what I've learned in life. When you hide from the truth, the baggage builds until it cost $5,000 to get on the airplane. Okay, we'll end with a joke. Wow, Chris, you're still here. I've lost a lot of friends being blunt with the truth. Reckon I'm better off without them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the context of that's pretty funny too, because me and without ever going into anything publicly, but like the time when me and you first met was probably the most. That's actually interesting. I'll just go into it for a second. Like that time in my life, I was like about ready to explode, and that was before I came and lived where I'm at now. It's kind of like that's all I really have to say, and I think it's awesome when you're able to look at past things and just say it's done, it's over. You don't carry the baggage with you, and that's how I try to treat other people. It's interesting, but yeah, that's so important. Being upfront and honest when you can. Of course, you can go on both ends of it. Yeah, me too. But yeah, that's and of course we're always that's the battle in life. It's like not too passive, too assertive. So, I mean, in your case, you sometimes you can be too assertive, just from what you've told me. But I actually hate the opposite, because my life story, part of my life story is actually growing up around a lot of people that were severely passive aggressive and not willing to address anything until there was like a major issue. So I now kind of, and that's what I struggled with personally. I severely struggled with being passive aggressive when I was younger, because that's what my major influence was. So it's all on a spectrum. You just can't point at fingers and say that this person's bad because they seem like this assertive meanie who's nitpicking everyone all the time. You seem more rude up front. You seem like an obnoxious person up front, but the silent person who never deals with anything is a coward. But a coward doesn't usually speak, so they can just slink into being a coward and get away with it a lot of the time. So it is what it is. We live in a crazy world. So, I mean, I'm probably faster to forgive somebody that snapped than I am somebody who will never speak up. Like, they irritate me more than the opposite. So maybe I'm overcompensating. Maybe I don't know. I like shake the computer stream. You need to pursue truth. No, I think it's taken a long time, but I think I've struck the best balance I can with being discussional. The balance between being like discussional and authoritative. Oh my gosh. It's a crazy balance. Want to arm wrestle? I'm terrible at arm wrestling, especially since I don't lift weights anymore. Anybody can beat me at arm wrestling, and I was never good at it either. Like it's just never good at arm wrestling. Both me and my wife speak our minds. It's why we've been married almost 25 years. Yeah, that's good, but I hope not too much. I'm sure that's created for some interesting times too. But yeah, overall good. Hey Gary, what's going on? I don't know. The other live stream was like an hour before it cut off, and now we're here 3 hours. So man, I've been here too long. It's like when I start. It's like I do these streams like less and less sometimes, or like I'll do one every 2 weeks, like 2 a month now. But it's like when I start them, I can never stop the streams. I don't know what it is, but hey, Kept It Real, Jay's Variety Channel. We did a little bit of everything tonight. For anybody just coming in, I'm going to sign off in a second. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I had a good time. I really did. And I do appreciate all of you. I don't want this to be just like about me. Like I'm making a conscious effort in my life now to focus more on other people, not so much like that self-focus of the busyness of life. And, it's about me being happy and all of this crazy stuff that's out there. So I truly mean it. I truly thank all of you for spending some time here with me. You didn't have to. So before I leave, we only managed to get through one box in like 4 hours tonight, but it was a really good box. And I saved one roll for later that has a stickerized Vietnam $50 in the end. I got two. I won't show them up close because you've all seen them. I got two 40% silver Kennedy halves, 1967, 1968. I got two gold-plated 2014 NIFCs. One of them is they're both the Civil War themed stickers, which might be a continuation from one of the sources I opened a couple months ago. This one's almost, somebody scratched it out. And I think they scratched it out because it was offensive. It probably had a Confederate flag on it or something. I mean, offensive to them. I honestly don't care. And then I found a bunch of mediocre stuff like NIFCs and one okay error coin, but the best coin I've ever found in a box of $50 with a mintage of 250,000. This insane proof coin from 2008, minted in San Francisco. I can't believe I pulled that out of a box. I honestly didn't even know those existed. I don't follow the modern coins too much. So yeah, that was a good box. Better than average. I mean, not a lot of silver. I don't usually get a lot of silver in my boxes, but to get that kind of variety, that was pretty fun, especially since the last stream was a little dry on the finds. Even though I went through two boxes, there wasn't many finds the last stream. But I've got three boxes left that I have to go through, or I would like to go through before I move. Ladybug. All right, so I probably will do a normal upload or another stream between now and the next week to get through those boxes. So that's that. I know, Alfred, isn't that crazy? I couldn't believe I pulled the first like two rows of this box. There was stuff popping out like crazy, and then it slowed down. I couldn't believe it. But thank you, Charles. Thank you, Shelly. Yes, it was a beauty. Thank you, Janine. Everyone else. Sounds good, Bird Dog. Yeah, text me. Please text me tomorrow so I don't forget, because I'm just in the process of moving a lot of stuff around right now. Yes, wash your hands. But I've been fairly isolated. I've had very minimal contact with the general public for the last 3 weeks. So the chances that I have the virus are very low. But that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm going to bed.